Alright guys, it's Mario with Beyond Fitness, and today I'm giving you guys the final installment of my reverse diet series and how to go about this from the, I guess you could say, the Beyond Fitness, myself and Josh Anderson's perspective, and how we would go about, reverse dieting somebody. And I'm going to say, for confidential purposes, that the name of this individual is Jen. We'll just go with Jen. But here's what happened. Essentially, Jen messaged me and kind of told me this was her plan. Like, she hired a trainer, and before the consultation, or after the consultation, excuse me, this was the plan that he had set up for her. This was it. So literally, he jumped right into action. He pretty much didn't even consider, like, hey, maybe we'll go slow on the cardio, maybe we'll throw that in later on. He dumped her straight off with 2 hours of cardio a day plus weight training. And her initial weight, I didn't have enough space to write on here, was 153, and she got down to about 132. And at that point, she still had some pudge on her. However, she wasn't able to, lose it because she still had some of that pudge on her. And it was like, where the fuck do you chop calories when this is a meal plan? Like, this is exactly what he gave her. I literally had to copy it on here. I didn't want to, I honestly have, the PDF file of it, literally, an online, email of what he sent her. But here's what happens. Last time I did that, for any of you guys that have followed me on the page before, I'm not going to say this coach's name, but he is very popular within female figure communities. And he's a very popular guy in that manner. And I posted a diet plan of literally something that he gave a girl, and immediately I got all of his fucking bikini competitors flaking me on my page for calling him out, saying that this was complete bullshit and he should not be prescribing this shit to anybody. But then, oh no, well, we take into account individual considerations, and that had nothing to do with it. My ass. So if you know who you are, go suck a dick. So in response, I decided, you know what, I am so sick and tired of, honestly, females being given these plans, because this is what they're so used to seeing, that they see something like this and they think to themselves, hey, this must have been customized for myself. Clearly, but I'm sorry to tell you, this is not, individualized. This is something that has been passed on from lady A to lady B to lady C, and if you've had great success with it, awesome. If the next lady has nailed it to the T, but nothing has gone right with her, then hey, it's her fault. She's binging. So to start off, here's what happens. Females are given a plan, something very similar to this, right? You'll see most bikini competitors say, oh, my meal 1 is that, meal 2, and the thing is that they don't have specified macronutrients for each meal, and by that I mean, how do you know what the hell the macronutrients are, the overall totals for the day, if you're just given this? So if let's say that Josh and myself are coaching somebody, right, and somebody came to us and said, hey, this is my meal plan, can you help me, I'm not losing any weight, can you help me reverse diet so at least I can, eat more food, because I'm just so tired of, eating this for a week and then binging on the weekends. And so the best way to approach this is, first, you have to literally break it down. Literally, and I know, sorry, you lazy fucking coaches that don't do shit, that's fine. So by this, what we do is we're going to find out the total overall macros. So we're going to find out what the overall totals are for the day, and then we can kind of get an idea, okay, so this lady has been consuming, X amount of calories with these specified macros. Now we know where to begin from here. So in the next part, in this coming up, I'm going to take a little break and kind of just write everything out. We're going to see what Jen's overall total macros were for the day, meal by meal, and then how would we go about reversing that. So here, let me finish that. Alright guys, we are back, and here we are. We broke down Jen's meals. So we broke down meal 1, meal 2, meal 3, meal 4, and meal 5. And, we kind of just did I guess you could say, a basic rounding, pretty much got an idea of where she was macronutrient-wise and what her meals looked like if we broke them down. And the way to do this, of course, if you guys aren't aware by now, is to simply go onto myfitnesspal.com, log in every food item, and get a rough total for what, she was consuming, or what that person was consuming at that time. So we broke it down. Meal 1 was about 42 grams of protein, 2.4 grams of fat, and about 9.9 grams of carbs. Oh, excuse me, I almost burped. But like I said, this is a rough estimate. It could have been some off or some below, but, this is the best tool we have for now, right? That's like someone saying, hey, I have a burger every day for lunch. It could be a burger from Denny's, from Wendy's, but the best thing you can do is to kind of just get a rough estimate of where they stand, and at least you'll be somewhere within that ballpark. And then we did the same for meal 2, 3, 4, and 5. And for the whey protein, if you guys are wondering, I just typed in, optimum nutrition, whey, because that's pretty much like the most widely used whey I tend to see within most people. That's usually what people stick with, so I just, went with that one, just like a rough estimate. And likewise, even if I'm a gram or two off on fat, or even like maybe 2 grams or a couple grams off of protein, like I said, you're within the ballpark, you're fine. And at the end of the day, we found out that this person's total macros, like I said, rough estimate, not specific, but these are a rough estimate of where they're pretty much lying around. 162 grams of protein, 25 grams of fat, and 90 grams of carbs. That fucking sucks. So, and again, then after that, you pretty much kind of find out where they are in terms of total calorie intake, and you realize, holy shit, this lady was consuming about 1,200 calories. She weighed about 153 to start with, and she was doing 2 hours of cardio a day with weight training 5 days a week. And you realize, holy fuck, yes, you'll lose weight, there's no doubt about it, but you're going to set yourself up in a bad position down the road, which is unfortunately what had happened to Jen. She set herself up in such a bad position that for her to recover from this position, it's going to take some essentially reevaluating for a long-term plan, saying, hey, I got to put the foot on the back burner right now and say, you know what, I can't do this. I have to take a step back and gradually build my calorie intake to where it should be. So right now I'm going to kind of show you guys where I would go forth with this, and we're going to totally disregard this meal plan shit on the left, and we're going to kind of build off on the right. Kind of just go off from there and gradually build her intake up, and you guys can get an idea of what it's going to look like. So I'll have an example like week 1, week 2, week 3, and like the gradual progressive changes that we make to her dieting and her training and her cardio in general. So let me do that right now. Alright, so here we go. We have kind of like what happens like if she were to, let's say, message Josh and myself, and Jen, I know, like I said, we were going to like name you that for the kind of portion of this video, but pretty much we're answering your question here. So on the right, pretty much we had finished off with what would her, what had her beginning total macros look like at the end of her diet, pretty much that hardcore starvation bullshit. And you realize there's 162 grams of protein, 25 grams of fat, 90 grams of carbs, totaling to 1,233 calories. 2 hours of cardio and weight training on top of that, which if someone said, hey man, hey Mario, this is what you should be doing, I will tell them to go suck a dick and never talk to me again. So week 1, without being so drastic about anything, the best thing we can consider is let's make some changes. Let's make some dietary changes, maybe switch things around. Because with competitors, you can't just say, okay, we have to drop everything, because they've been doing it for so fucking long that once you remove that external stimulus, it's kind of just another, I guess you could say, way of, putting on fat easier, because you drop the cardio immediately. You're not going to see any competitor, let's say that was doing 2 hours of cardio a day, immediately drop their cardio cold fucking turkey, unless they're on a host of cocktail or of drugs, or they're doing something to kind of combat that. Otherwise, if you were doing 3 hours of cardio a day and you stop, you're going to put yourself in a bad fucking position, we'll say that. So first, adjust the macros, or her macros, to about 135 grams of protein, 30 grams of fat, and 115 grams of carbs. Yes, there was a very, very minor increase in calories, but it's nothing very significant. For myself and Josh, we like to see females, I guess you could say, bring their fats up higher, just because something we see it with a lot of women is that they tend to miss their menstrual cycles. But the thing that sucks and concerns me is that they treat it so normally, like, oh, whatever, it's fine. I didn't have my period in like 5 months since I started like dieting, but it's whatever. And that's a scary thing. There's so many more hormonal things that are related to that, not just, oh, whatever, twinkle twinkle little star, I'm fine. No, that's some fucking scary shit. And if you do realize that happening to you, go to your gynecologist, go to your doctor, and bring these issues up. And if you realize this, you should probably not be competing. Just my 2 cents. Week 2. First thing, we noticed that Jen was doing 2 hours of cardio, which is fucking overkill. So we had to reduce 20 minutes from each cardio session and increase her calories ever so gradually. Realize, women, I guess you could say, have a higher set point than men do with body fat. you can argue this, and women in general, you can't go so aggressive with calorie intake, because with guys, yeah, you can be a bit more aggressive. We can get away with it, but with women, you have to be more sensitive and gradually build it up and up to the point where, like, here's the thing, guys can get away with like 500, 600 grams of carbs and be fucking monsters and like not even put that much fat on. With women, the equivalent of like a guy on 500 grams of carbs is like a woman on like 300 grams of carbs. So it's kind of one of those things where it's going to take time to build up to, but if you actually put patience in and some, effort, it will pay off. I promise that. So we increase your calories about by 5% or 0.05% if you want, and that's going to give you, I believe, 63 calories, and then divided by 4, it comes out to about 15 grams of carbs. And then now you see the new adjusted macros on week 3 are that. So we've already reduced the cardio from last week, so we're just going to run this for a week and see how things roll. If things are great, hey, we have, you've been maintaining the same weight, awesome. No, just leave it. Week 4, again, I still don't like people doing that much cardio. It's just not me. I don't like having my clients do it. Anybody knows me. If you're going to have cardio, you might as well plow your girlfriend. That's the truth. Week 4, reduce another 20 minutes from each session and increase your food again, but however, bump your fat intake up another 5 grams. You could even bump your carbs up, but for this general purpose, we're just going to say this lady's increasing her fat. And keep increasing her fat, I guess you could say, in an alternated fashion. So maybe 1 week would be carbohydrate exclusive, the next week would be fat exclusive, another fat exclusive, then a carb exclusive, or whatever you seem fit, whichever macro that you're more, makes you feel more, I guess you could say, normal. With people, some people feel way better, having lower fat, higher carbs. Some people feel way better having higher fat, lower carbs. It's just one of those things you're going to have to play with and find out which, feels better for you. So, and then week 5, if you saw week 4, we have a little note there at the bottom. Bump your fat up until you're around 0.5 grams times your body weight. So you're going to find that happy little medium, and when you're at that point, okay, fine, you can probably take a break on bumping your fat up and now kind of place an exclusive setting on carbs temporarily. But if you realize your calories are getting too high, bump your fat up even higher. It doesn't have to be 0.5. That's just a general safe recommendation. So week 5, reduce your cardio again, whether that's another 10 minutes from each session, until you're at the point where your cardio is like a fucking warm-up. Like, that's all it should be. Like, the cardio I suggest for people is, you go ahead and, you guys can call me fucking perverts for all I care. I literally will say, hey, do you have a girlfriend? Oh, yeah? Well, you know exactly what I'm going to tell you to do, and if you have a dog, go walk your dog. That's your fucking cardio. If you want to do some outside hit, play sports with the bros at the gym, that's cool with me, by all means, but I don't want someone going out of their way to say, well, I gotta do like 2 hours of list, man, because I'm bulking and, I don't get an appetite anymore, man. I gotta burn so much, man. I gotta do like 4 hours of cardio so I can even get an appetite. And that's fucking stupid. So, week 5, reduce cardio further, and again, you can start being a little bit more aggressive with these calorie increases. So another, I guess you could say, 0.08% calorie increase is fine. And then you gradually do this like in an alternated fashion of fat, carbs, fat, etc., until you realize, okay, I've only gained about 1 or 2 pounds, but I've increased my net calorie intake by about 800. And that's what you want to go for. So hopefully this has kind of been like the bikini figured out scenario that I've seen time and time after again. And I can't call these coaches out because here's the thing, there's strength in numbers. I don't have the strength in numbers that I believe I ought to have. And unfortunately, it's going to be me against fucking 400 women that, don't want to have sex anymore and lost their sex drive. And a coach who thinks he's a fucking deity. Excuse my language. But again, that was me, Mario with Beyond Fitness. Hopefully you guys learned something from this. And sorry if I sweared and ranted on too much. That's how you know I'm getting into this video. So again, please private message me with anything you guys may have pertaining to your situation. And I'll put a link to the Facebook page and the website down below for coaching inquiries and whatnot. So thank you and have a good day.